Welcome. It is another exciting episode of Mysterious Forces Live. It is 10 o'clock p.m. on the East Coast. It's 7 o'clock p.m. in 2 minutes on the West Coast. Welcome. It is Friday, June 21st. And if you're not completely aware of this, this is the summer solstice. So happy summer solstice to those who recognize and celebrate this day on the calendar. I know there are a lot of folks out there that give a lot of credence to these kinds of high holidays, these calendar holidays. They served a tremendous purpose in older cultures, mainly regarding the harvest and the planting and the making and the doing, so you don't freeze your ass off and die frozen and cold like an ice cube in the winter. That was uplifting, wasn't it? Thank you so much for being here. I'm just being silly. Tonight we have a great topic, and I'm going to introduce him in a minute. I just want to say hello to everyone. Thank you for being here. Thanks for spending your time with us. I know that there are other places that you could be to be spending your evening, but you've chosen to be here with us. And this time slot's getting a little bit crowded on a Friday night. And so I know that I think our audiences will probably get spread thin a little bit, but we'll see what happens. And speaking of audiences, I'll be talking about it tomorrow. I'm not talking about it tonight, but it's been a circus on Twitter. And Rock decided to retort to a lot of what CW Chanter was saying, what him and Kelly have been saying in defense of his accusations. And it's silly. It's really silly. But I'm not gonna dirty up tonight's show with that topic. That's for tomorrow night. We'll talk about it. But it's been interesting. It's been a hoot. So check out everyone's Twitter accounts on Twitter if you haven't done that. Paranormal Hood, CW Chanter, Explaining Esoterica. There's a bunch of people. BB. It's a tempest in a teapot on Twitter. A Twitter tempest in a teapot. How's that? If you want to phrase it that way. Anyway, we've had some really interesting news. The Reverend Richard Moonchild has been talking to me, and he was getting prepared to set up this independent server, and he's calling it like a fringe Discord server, and I'll let him explain the details when he comes on here in just a second. And we talked earlier in the week, and he was on Jimmy Church last night. And so tonight is Mysterious Forces Live, Sloppy Seconds. And we'll do the information tonight. But I'm really excited about this information. And I think that this is a good opportunity for the alternative research community. So without any further ado, the Reverend Richard Moonchild. Thank you so much for being on, Richard. I'm glad you're here.
Hello, glad to be here. Good to see you again.
Awesome. Yeah, this is your second appearance on the show. And we write back and forth a lot on Facebook and stuff. And I know that it backed off for a while. And there was just a lot of drama in the community. And that's enough to make anyone want to take a break. Even I kind of backed off some stuff after a while. But when you started talking about this independent server, you got everyone's interest piqued, including mine. And I was wondering, and I just want to put it out here right now. It's Discord app. That's DISCORDAPP.com. That's where to get this app. And I'm just going to, on the front end, explain briefly, and I'll let you fill in the details. This is an app that you download. You use your own phone as your own server. And this is, according to my loose interpretation, and I'm by no means a computer whiz, this is like open source app that allows folks to create a network of servers, i.e. your own device or computer, and create this community. And I'm not super well versed in the terminology of computers, and that's why I'm going to let Richard explain it all. Richard, how did you come up with the idea to do this, and what was your motivation?
Well, actually, my motivation all started with the whole doxing gate. I know it's that I don't really want to bring that up, but that's what caused it. When everything started going crazy with that, I decided it was time that the French community found a place where we could be safer and talk amongst ourselves without having to worry about stuff like that so much. Um, Started really looking into some stuff, started realizing how much it was going to cost until actually I come across Discord and believe it or not, come across it playing video games because it's primarily a gaming chat platform, mostly for role players. Saw several clans that I went through, and it was one of the most secure systems I'd ever seen. It's members only, invite only, uh, so nobody can get into it without an invite, and you can pretty much police it yourself. So I started working on it and literally built and trashed it 4 times before I figured it all out and got it right. But
Yeah.
it's finally getting there, and I'm still working out a few bugs. But we're up to 54 members and climbing now as of this afternoon, and hope for more.
And you have some fairly high profile folks that are signing up for the service. Do you want to talk about a few of the people that have signed on so far, including me?
Well, yeah,
But I'm
you,
not high profile.
yeah, you
That's
are.
not what I meant.
Uh, uh, we got Pursuing X in. We got Multiverse Jess from Multiverse Maidens. She's in the server. In fact, she's doing she's invited everyone to give questions while she does an interview with David Hatcher Childress at AlienCon this week.
Oh,
So
very
people have
cool.
been posting questions for her to ask him during the interview. Uh, we've got Rita from Fade to Black in so far. She joined a few nights ago and is really excited. Uh, Walter Bosley has actually piqued an interest. He hasn't in yet, but he's been asking me about it. So there's quite a few in there that we're getting their interest up.
So let's get down and dirty into some details so that people understand what to do and what the and you create a channel for yourself. Is it like setting up a website, or what are they gonna, what's the a new user going to see, and what's the process for setting up their own channel?
Okay, when they first come in, Stanton is going to welcome them to the server. He's going to give them what is called the members role, which will actually paint their name blue for one. It will send them to the rules channel and then into general chat. That's where you're going to first meet everybody. Come in there, say hello. That's pretty much where everybody talks. Uh, I've got the members channels all set up by category. So they're going to see all the different categories from leaked documents, non-mainstream news, prepper chat, music, you name it. I've got it. I even got one called Area 51. So
Oh, that's cool.
then I go into the journalist networks, and they are set up mainly for the journalists. Like the Fade to Black channel is going to be for Rita and Jimmy to post their information in, and then we've got a Fadernauts channel for all the Fadernauts to talk. Kind of a new version of the Sandbox, uh, only not on Twitter. Less
Right,
prying eyes.
right. And so that people understand, content creators and fans alike, this is what, if you're a creator, you can't actually download videos onto the platform, but you can post links to your show, which can be either on your own server or on YouTube or whatever platform you've chosen to work on. So you can post the links there that'll take people, traffic people to your content, correct?
Yes, that's correct. In fact, Stanton will do most of it for you with YouTube and Twitch. You actually type in exclamation point in YouTube and then the full name of the video, and it'll bring the video right to the channel.
I want to explore this idea because I know that a variety of people have a problem with trolls. And, most communities are pretty good. There are a few good pages on Facebook that are patrolled pretty closely by the mods, and they do pretty well. X Files UFO Chant Hannah, she runs a pretty tight ship on her pages, and I like the way things go on her channels. But it's chaotic in a lot of other places unless it's a closed group or it's limited. So I wonder if we can dig into this self-policing of the community and keeping down on trolls and increasing privacy. How does that work?
Okay, the way we're going to actually have that done is I'm going to have moderators, just like the channels that you're actually talking about. The moderators will be kind of the administration of the server. They'll be watching when I can't, and making sure that nothing gets out of hand, nothing goes in the wrong place. Because at the moment, we're trying to keep the members from actually posting in the actual journalist channels, and I'm actually working on that problem. But at the moment, it's open for anybody to post in them. So I'm actually working on a way to fix that issue now. But I do have one moderator so far, and I'm hoping for quite a few more. I've already had a couple approach me over the last day and mention it. So it looks like we're going to get a few more. I have set up a tribunal. I'm going to have a group of
that
moderators.
Sounds scary as a tribunal. Sounds scary as hell, Richard.
I named it that because I thought it was fitting, because it's going to be a group of moderators and journalists combined that are actually going to be the judges of the channels.
Okay.
If you have a problem, they're the ones that's going to vote on whether or not on how to solve the problem.
I see. That's cool. And so are these people going to be appointed by you or volunteer? How is that going to be? Who's going to watch the watchers? You? Are you the ultimate authority in all this, that ultimately you're the decision maker?
You could say I'm just the lead editor, and I'm also the tribunal executioner. So if they vote somebody off, I'm the one that bans them.
Okay. Yeah, I just hope that playing devil's advocate for a second, I just hope that we can keep an eye on people so that there's no like partisanship, like so and so got offended by something, so a lot of people gang up on one person. I mean, obviously the rules are going to take care of that, and it's going to be, look, is the person abiding by the rules and the guidelines of the community, and that will be the ultimate authority. And then it's up to human beings to make a determination. And I think part of the reason YouTube is getting in so much trouble, as well as Facebook, which is, this shit is off the hook right now, because they've got artificial intelligence and algorithms moderating content, so to speak, and they're making tremendous errors in judgment and deplatforming and demonetizing. And I think this is turning a lot of people off to those mainstream platforms, Facebook, YouTube, so on and so forth. And they're looking for something else. And I think that's the plus side of this, that you've got human beings who are reading, who are making, analysis of issues or problems that come up, and you're not just trusting it to an algorithm. So I think that human element is what's missing from these big platforms.
Well, our community has always been one to police itself. It's time we go back to that. The censorship on the mainstream platforms has gotten way out of hand, and that's something they won't have to deal with here. The only rules, I really don't tolerate trolls, and I don't tolerate bullying. That's
right.
That's zero tolerance. And I would think anybody in the community would feel the same way about that.
Are there other content restrictions? I mean, I'm just going to be extreme here, like sexual content, or like white nationalists, or, bad actors. I don't want to equate nudity with white nationalism. I'm really a fan of nudity, but on the platform, in terms of, a community and what the community standards are and what's appropriate, what are the boundaries there?
We are going to keep stuff like that off the server. I mean, we're not going to have anything like that, and I'm not going to deal with. Let's just put. I won't deal with racism at all, and because that's just wrong. We're all the same. It doesn't matter what color we are. We all bleed the same color. Uh, I leave that in the same as the bullying. I mean, they're pretty much bullying each other.
Right. No.
As far as nudity, you're probably going to get kicked off the server so fast that you're not even going to know it happened.
Damn it. That spoils all my plans. I I figured as much, but I just kind of wanted to spell out what the boundaries are in case people were thinking, because sometimes things get a little wishy-washy. Like if you start to get into politics or Second Amendment issues, I think, and what I try to do, I try real hard on this show to avoid topics of partisan politics. And we can't help but talk about the government in this field of conversation, because we're talking about a government that conducts disinformation and that withholds information, potentially, history changing information. And that's part of the mystery of conspiracies, right? Is this governmental influence or control or lack of control, if it's more of a corporatocracy kind of a situation. I don't know. It's like the system is just kind of starting to eat itself, and I think people are really hungry for something different. And
they are.
I'm hoping we can step away from that. Oh, so my point there, I kind of sideways for a second. The politics, that's one thing. That's something that can get heated sometimes. But what I think maybe more importantly, like if you had people who were preppers or survivalists, and then sometimes politics gets mixed up with that, or Second Amendment issues. And, there's such a wide variety of viewpoints on the Second Amendment and that issue in our society. Where would you draw the line with that kind of talk? I'm not trying to ask you really hard questions and make this tough for you. I'm just trying to get a feeling for this and what this is going to look like.
I would try to watch it as carefully as possible. If it started getting to a point to where it felt like it was about to explode, I have my ways of backing people down. For some reason, I've always been able to talk people down off of fights and stuff. Been pretty good at it for years. That's why I actually became a minister. But we are going to have to actually have some common sense when having the discussions. That's the main thing. That's all I ask. Have some common sense and don't get out of hand with it. If somebody doesn't agree with you, back away from the situation.
Yeah,
that's all you got to do.
No, I think so. I just kind of wanted to hear it from you. Like I'm getting to know you, and we talk a lot, just through social media on direct messaging. And, I have a sense of who you are and what you're about. And I know that you would do that. I wasn't asking those questions with the premise that you wouldn't keep a close eye on those kinds of issues. I kind of wanted it spelled out just to reassure people who are thinking about going on the platform or who have already signed up as to what they can expect. And trolling is such an issue. And I like the idea of having a place where that can be controlled a little more. And Facebook and YouTube, they do a terrible job of taking care of trolls, because people can get into a chat room or get on the comments and just say some awful things. And it's up to the content creator to go back and make sure that people aren't saying a bunch of crazy sideways stuff. And that itself becomes taxing. And so I like it that this is going to be like a free speech zone, but the invitation aspect also helps as well. Now, does a person who invites someone, can they disinvite them? Does that person, the actual person who did the inviting, do they have any control over whether that person stays or goes later on? Or is it just, hey, you're cool, so I send you the invite, and then the responsibility for membership goes to you or moderators of the tribunal?
Anybody that brings in someone, if they're doing something that they feel is an issue, they can actually come to the moderators and they can discuss it with them and let them know what's going on. Hey, you need to take a look at this. if you've missed it, and they can be part of the advisement team on it, or they can actually be in the tribunal as a witness.
Okay, that's cool. A little bit of a, I brought you into this world and I can take you out.
Yeah, a little bit.
So, do you have a specific channel on there yourself? And if so, what is the content of your channel?
I do have my own blog. I discuss everything that I research from ancient civilizations. Sometimes I might get into a little bit of biblical stuff because I am a biblical scholar. Most of the time, I'm going to be talking about the UFO connections and what's going on in the UFO field because that's my biggest research right there. Also, I get into aerospace engineering and aviation technologies too. So it just depends on what mood I'm in on the day.
Right. So I suppose you're pretty excited about this Wilson leak stuff, also involving the alien autopsy film, which has like been resurrected all of a sudden again. And
I thought that thing was dead a long time ago, but it doesn't seem to be going away.
I threw some pictures up on Twitter. If anyone's curious, I found some shots. I don't normally do this. I haven't looked at the chat room yet. I'm going to pause myself for a second, take a look in the chat room because I know that the professors in LA at there's Share Lady Zaga, Satellite Mincy, Wow, Ray Daw, Lady Zaga, Jiggy, my friend Jiggy. I love Jiggy. Maui Pro Media, Robin Eagle Song, Golden Coin. Cool. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your watching the show so much. A UFO Gandalf. Very cool. Yeah, I'm glad that everyone's here.
Hey, Gandalf, it's been a long time.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll come back to that. I'm going to look it up because I got to be quite honest with you. I hadn't really gotten exposed to this, and I know that this is going to be a name that rings a bell here. I'm just pulling this straight off of Facebook, and I know people are going to know who this is. The guy's name is Philip Mantle, and he's a veteran UK UFO researcher, author, lecturer, broadcaster, and publisher. That's his description. And I've asked him for an interview. I haven't gotten a response yet, but he has written a book, and I guess this book has been out for years. And let's see, what's the name of the book? Well, Flying Disc Press is where it's at. Hold on, I know. There's a picture of this. Shadows of Your Mind. He's got a lot of stuff. Everything has ever been published in. But this book was on the topic of the faked UFO film, the alien autopsy film, and there are pictures there's the film in the can, and these are color pictures. There's looks like some molds or some prototypes for aliens. They're standing there. There's they've got a picture of a headline: Max Headroom creator made Roswell alien. He's got a picture of a script, it appears, and at the bottom, and look on my Twitter page at My Forces Live if you want to see these pictures. And there's like some Polaroid shots of the entire alien body, like in the mold, like they took half the mold off. So there's Roswell Alien Autopsy, The Truth Behind the Film That Shocked the World by Philip Mantle. There you go, kids. Look that one up. So, I got a little bit concerned, maybe might be too strong of a word, but I saw that Richard Dolan had talked about the Alien Autopsy film, and Grant Cameron has been talking about the Alien Autopsy film, and I don't know, it just seemed like there were a lot of people jumping on that without, and then these pictures come up, and Philip Mantle's like, hey, I wrote a book about this, and I laid out all the reasons why this is fake. Here's some photos behind the scenes. I mean, you can't refute the photos that show the creative people with cameras and lights and shit in the background, right? Like it's an obvious movie set. And so I encourage people to look at that at My Forces Live on Twitter and look up that book, Philip Mantle. And I'm hoping that Mr. Mantle will come on the show. I would love to get him on here as quickly as possible. If I can get him on an odd day, I'll probably just go ahead and do a spontaneous broadcast because I would love to hear from the guy that wrote a book on why the alien autopsy film was fake. What's your take on it, Richard? Do you think there's some veracity to the documents, at least according to this film, or do you think it's all hooey and this is going to blow over? At least that part of it. And I don't want to tie the alien autopsy too strongly to the Wilson leak material. They seem to be kind of two different things. They're tangentially connected, but not directly.
The Wilson leaks, I believe, may be. There's something to that. It's just there's too much there. I've been looking into it myself. I've got copies of them on the server that I actually go back and reread just about every day. And page 12 and 13 is rather interesting. That's the best thing I can say. I mean, it's pretty much notes on an aerospace contractor saying flat out that they had a craft in their possession that was not made on this planet by human hands. Now, whether or not they're true, that remains to be seen. But they are getting us closer and they're bringing the discussion further ahead. So that much, I think, is going to be a good thing. If they turn out to be real, they're going to bring us really close to the edge on this. Now, the alien autopsy, I'm not so sure that I do believe that. I mean, I went through all that when it come out years ago. And honestly, it didn't look realistic to me anyway. In the first place, there was too many artifacts that didn't seem to fit. I'll just put it that way.
Like production artifacts or things that looked a little too produced instead of random.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, it was. And you know, I always wondered if Jonathan Frakes ever regretted getting in the middle of that on that Fox special. I've actually got the movie. There's a fictional movie about the guys who made the fake film, and it's pretty funny. It's a British film. People should check that out. Now, you sent me a very specific link when you messaged me on Twitter. Was that a very specific link to my channel on that I haven't really completely set up yet on Discord app? And by the way, what's the name of the network? Is it the Fringe Network, or I wasn't quite clear on that?
Because of the fact that I have had to name myself something special for my clan, it ended up being the same name. My name in my clan is the Arrow of Fate. So It's called the Arrow of Fate's Fringe Corner.
Okay.
All the channels are already set up, and that link will bring you right into the server. Then you just scroll down and find your channel. It's right there.
Okay. All right, cool. And I want to encourage everyone to do that. I think that we're all going to migrate to other platforms. If nothing else, I think that we're going to use these platforms maybe as a primary source for content creation, because we're going to escape some censorship and some choking of data and choking of viewership by these corporations. And unfortunately, corporations are, taking over YouTube. And now you see a lot of shit that you're avoiding TV and coming to YouTube because you like the kind of content that's there. And now it seems like the powers that be want to turn YouTube into more like TV. And it's like, shit, that's what you're trying to get away from. I mean, I thought that's why YouTube was kind of doing what it was doing in Netflix, but I think they see the success of Hulu, Netflix, and Amazon. And obviously YouTube wants to create their own content, right? Just like those other services. And so I think that they're trying to hop on that bandwagon. And unfortunately, I think they're going to abandon the grassroots content creators that really made YouTube what it was. And it's going to be a shame. I'm going to go through here and look for questions. Lady Zaga, you should clue in when they recycle events unless they bring new information that would bring a conclusion. At this point, there's conclusive new information. I have not seen the Wilson leak yet. Um, I I have to be honest, I would point you to the Richard Dolan videos because he has so succinctly laid out the Wilson leak documents and their historical
And very much
context.
so. Very
So
much so.
go to if you want to get the down and dirty on that, the historical context, who the players are, so on and so forth. Richard Dolan is your man. UFO Gandalf, we have to stop thinking in terms of whether it's real or not, or whether it's true or not. We need to ask, why is this being released now, whether it's true or not, and what's the agenda? Do you have an opinion on that, Richard? Why this
I
is happening now?
I agree with him 100%. But I think honestly they know something. They they know there's something either coming or they know they're about to do something, and that's what's connecting this all together right now and why they're bringing the information out now. Uh, it's it's too much of a coincidence that all of this is just popping up now. You've got the TTSA doing their thing. You've got the documents coming out. You've got people talking about the MJ12 documents again. We've got Bob Lazar has come back out on the record. All of this is going on right now, and it's all tying together. And there's a reason for it. And honestly, they've green lighted something. We just got to figure out exactly what it is. Is it something coming, or is it something they're planning to do?
Yeah, exactly. And as a quick sidebar, I watched the entire Joe Rogan, Bob Lazar, Jeremy Corbell interview, and it's fantastic. I have some issues sometimes with Joe Rogan myself, but it's not involving this topic. So I'm really weird about Joe Rogan. I'm like a fan, and then sometimes he just really pisses me off, and I hate what he says, and I disagree with him. And then I always come back because he does something I like. So I run kind of hot and cold with him sometimes. Ray Daw wants to know if you have read anything by Pierre Sabak, that last name being Sabak. I don't know who that is myself, so
The
I may be
name
wrong.
sounds extremely familiar, but it probably, I don't think I've ever read anything by him. I've read a bunch of Richard Dolan books. I've read a bunch of books. I don't know if I've read one by him or not. Honestly, I've got a library. I had a library at one time that was so vast that I didn't even know how many books was in it. So I may have, like I said, the author's name sounds familiar, but it's been so long I probably wouldn't remember.
Right. I'm still searching through some questions here. Satellite Mency 4 asking, I'm going to paraphrase slightly, but I won't misrepresent your question. They're asking, is the policing of the members, who's doing the policing? The journalists, the content creators? And I think he's asking, or she, and correct me if I'm wrong here in the comments, what happens if a content creator, let's say, is doing the antagonizing? How are you gonna? I guess that's the question. Not just the visitors, but people who are taking up space on the network. Will that go
Yeah,
back
well,
to the tribunal situation where it's discussed and the evidence is reviewed and then a determination made amongst a group?
yes, actually, that would have to be in the. It would all be the same rules, but for everybody. It doesn't matter if it's a member or a journalist, and there's going to be members and journalists and moderators all into this at the same time. So if something happens, we will look at the evidence and go from there. It doesn't matter if it's a member, journalist, moderator, or even a tribunal member. I wouldn't even leave myself out of that. That wouldn't be fair to everybody else.
Satellite Mency just added, are both being policed? Yes, thanks. I think that that was asked. And I'm going to ask you again what the name of your network is because someone here in the chat room asked.
The
To
arrow
please,
of
Arrow,
it's the
what?
arrow of fate's fringe corner.
Okay. Is one word or dinner? If you start typing that, will it come up?
If you search on Discord, it should come up, and it's spaced out just like it would be if you wrote it. The Arrow of Fate's Fringe Corner.
Okay. The Arrow of Fate's Fringe Corner. That'll be it. And if I can add a link to this later, I will. Richard, are you working on any other projects, or is this platform kind of your new baby and what you're going to be focused on here for a while?
At the moment, this is my baby, and it's probably going to stay that way for a while. I really want this to succeed, so I'm really going to be keeping a close eye on it. But I also play my violin and my guitar too, and I do my own research from there. So it just depends. But
okay,
most of the time, I'm going to be watching the server like a hawk, just like everybody else.
Awesome. Well, I know that I'm going to have my tool set up before we get to Monday. The middle of the week and end of the week, it's kind of busy for me. We've had a busy week here in our household, but as show days get closer, I get a little more wrapped up in show stuff. And sometimes I kind of block everything else out as I move towards the weekend. But I will be setting that up, and I'll have a presence on there by Monday. And I also want to announce something happened over this last week, a good thing. I secured a booth at the International UFO Congress, which is going to run from September 4th to September 8th. It is the world's longest running UFO convention. The International UFO Congress every year gives out a Researcher of the Year award, and it draws all of the top stars of ufology and researchers. Cheryl Costa, I was there when she got the award last year. I was there when Tom DeLonge accepted by video the Researcher of the Year before in 2017. And so they switched venues. They outgrew the old Weekapaw convention center that was outside of town a bit, and they're in downtown Phoenix this year for the first time. And so go to the International UFO Congress.com, IUFOC perhaps, and look it up. But I'm going to be right in the main vendors room. I'm going to be at booth number 6, so keep that in mind. And I'm going to have it set up. I'm going to give away promotional swag. I might sell some proprietary t-shirts that you can only get from me. Maybe some other merch. I'm kind of playing with that, so we'll see. I really like coffee cups, but we'll see what happens. I'll be giving away some VIP swag bags as well, maybe to some of the lecturers or just random guests who show up. I did that at Disclosure Con last year, and that went over pretty well. So I'm going to be doing swag bags, VIP swag bags, regular swag. I'll be pulling people into my booth. It'll be set up for on-the-spot interviews, and I hope to get the main lecturers, and I'm going to pull people in who are just attending and just get their feelings and thoughts on what it's like to attend such a big conference. So if you'd like to catch me in person and catch my booth, it's booth number 6 at the 2019 International UFO Congress in Phoenix, Arizona. That's September 4th through the 8th down in Phoenix, Arizona. And I got to hit the button. Richard, thank you so much for being on. I always like talking to you. I grabbed the wrong knob. I was trying to turn it down. I always enjoy talking to you, and I'd like you to come back once things get going a little bit and update us on how things are going with the server.
Most definitely.
All right. Thank you so much. Once again, thank you for being here. If you haven't already, like and subscribe below and click on that little bell so you get a notification of when there's a new episode of Mysterious Forces Live. Tomorrow night, I will address the controversy, the Tempest in a Teapot, the Unirock situation, and I think I'll probably split the show up and talk about something else too. I don't think that topic really deserves a ton of attention. Thank you very much. Have a safe Friday night, everyone, and good night. And let's see, 5, 4, what? I forgot how to count.